everyone. Welcome to Sunspot for the week of October the 11th. Just 3 weeks away from Halloween, and then Thanksgiving will be here, and then before we know it, Christmas. It's amazing how time flies. We're excited today to have with us Kevin Crouch. Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you.
Kevin, you may know Kevin. Most of you probably do, but Kevin is really Ellis County's weatherman. And we're going to get into that in just a few minutes, but excited to have Kevin with us today. Before getting to Kevin, I do want to share with you that as a media company, we are far more than just a newspaper. We have, of course, our Waxahachie Sun printed edition, which is the smallest of our family of brands in the sense that it goes to the smallest group of people in the community. And then we have WaxahachieSun.com, which goes to a vast majority of people in the community and throughout Ellis County and even through the region. And we do have some people across the country, obviously, who want to stay connected with Waxahachie, and that's their way of doing it. Inside of WaxahachieSun.com is a replica edition, the exact format that you would see, that you do see in the printed edition, and you can read it by digitally turning pages and searching, and you can magnify a story, whatever, things like that. So, and then we have Ellis Down Home, which is our everything good about Ellis County, feel good place. Literally the word down home is meant to represent that it's down home. It's about essentially talking over the backyard fence with your neighbors about all sorts of really good, comfortable, happy, peaceful things. And now we have Ellis County Weather as part of our family. Ellis County Weather is the predominant, by far, weather source for Ellis County, and we are proud to have Kevin on our team, and of course to be able to provide you with the weather. So that's kind of the setup for this. We're just going to have a conversation and let Kevin share with you all more about Ellis County Weather, and then we'll talk about some ideas about what we're going to do with to certainly keep it as is, but then add a whole lot more to it as time goes on. And then Kevin's going to share with you the weather now and what we might expect going forward. So again, Kevin Crouch, thank you for being here. Happy to have you on the team.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to be here. I just wrapped up my first week.
Yeah.
I mean, so much has happened that it feels like I've been here a while, just because of all the work that I've done. And it's been so good to be a part of this team.
Good deal.
As we talked about before, this was kind of a hobby of mine that I kind of had to try to manage on the side with a full-time job and those kind of things. And this opportunity to actually do this full-time is going to mean just some incredible opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty cool. Pardon the 60-year-old man's use of the word cool, but throw it in there every so often. And Kevin's 30, isn't that amazing? Half my age, younger than my oldest kids, which is just incredible. But Kevin, as I told him the other day, I said, there's millennials that get the lousy label of being a different kind of generation that, many of them need a little kick in the pants, if you will, and some unfortunately see socialism as the way to go, and it's just a different generation. We all were different generations. Kevin is a millennial in a millennial generation that I think represents the extraordinary side of what millennials can offer. And so just that has kind of parlayed itself into Kevin creating Ellis County Weather, as he just mentioned to you, as a part-time gig. So Kevin has had a full-time job in addition to Ellis County Weather for how long? For the life of Ellis County Weather, right?
Up to this point.
How old is Ellis County Weather?
So I'll actually hit 6 years. We're filming this, of course, on Wednesday. Thursday will be 6 years.
Right. Okay. So yeah. Yep. So when you see this, Ellis County Weather will have just turned yesterday 6 years old. So, but all of that has been done while you've been essentially a CFO for another company, correct? Or an accounting manager or a business manager?
No, I didn't quite do that kind of work. More outreach for Hope Clinic, and then prior to that, some record research kind of thing. But in all of those cases, working full time and just trying to find the time in the evenings to kind of run everything and squirrel out of the office somehow if severe weather's happening, and I've got to try to go cover that, and finding different ways to kind of play the system.
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine having a full-time job and then having the responsibility, self-appointed responsibility of informing you and us and everybody about the weather. And if you're in the middle of a job or duty, in your case at Hope Clinic,
Yeah.
and the weather's coming, you have a dilemma. Now we've eliminated that in terms of a possibility insofar as Kevin is full-time, 24/7, literally, weather.
Yeah.
And we're excited about that. So Ellis County Weather just turned 6. And it's from the very beginning, it's been a part-time.
Right.
You do it in your non-full-time job hours.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And now we're full-time weather.
Right.
What do you think that means to you in terms of, because you've never done the weather, knowing that you're full-time
Right.
to it. So what does that mean to you?
It means peace of mind, for one.
Yeah.
That I'm going to be able to fulfill that responsibility. It is something that, people ask me, well, what's your usual working schedule? And I kind of just chuckle because it's whatever Mother Nature decides it is.
Mm-hmm.
There are days where it's pretty quiet. I can get a lot of other things done. And then there's days where I have an entire day run up to a severe weather event, where we're hanging on every weather balloon, every update that we can get to try to figure out what is going to happen and keep people informed and keep people appropriately abreast of what the risks are and
Right.
How seriously they need to take weather. Here in North Texas, we're so used to severe weather that we have a habit of kind of just taking it for granted. When we say there's a tornado outside, go in your shelter. Most people go outside with their phones and try to get a picture of it or something. But so, it's just the peace of mind to be able to do that. And then also from the heart of a kid that wanted to do this for a long time, but also I always kind of had a passion for doing something different and finding a way to focus on a county level, because when you watch the Dallas media, they have 40 plus counties to cover.
Right.
So on a night where there's a line of severe storms, they got to cover every single one of those in that small period of time to keep everybody informed. But when you get on a county level, you're able to keep people more informed.
Yeah, so as it relates to the differences and the distinctions between Ellis County Weather and, say, WFAA or the other NBC, CBS, whatever else is out there, because there are a lot of them,
Sure.
you are specifically concerned about Ellis County.
Right.
And so we use this past Sunday night as an example, where we had bad weather. You were on, Johnny on the spot, obviously, and you were in your studio and informing listeners and viewers, which there are plenty of. I mean, the interest in weather in this community compared to other places I've been, in places where weather is, like in the north, where weather is a big deal, particularly in the wintertime, the interest in the weather here, to me, is kind of above average, and people really get into it. Now, my wife will say to me, Scott, do you hear those sirens? Or, Scott, do you hear that? And I'll basically say, yeah, I hear it. What's the score of the game?
Right,
That kind
exactly.
of thing. Or like you said, go outside like an
right.
idiot. But more and more people are interested in the weather. And so you've built this large base of following. And so Sunday night is a good example of you were informing those followers what's going on. But it's about Ellis County, right?
Yeah, it is. And, that said, though, there are folks in southern Dallas County, Navarro County, parts of Johnson County, parts of Tarrant County in the Mansfield area, parts of Hill County that will watch, because I don't just cover the second it hits the county line. I got to be able to tell people, when it's getting close. And so Sunday night, as an example, like you said, there was a storm that was tornado warned when it moved through the Cleburne area. And I went ahead and went live for two reasons. One, to give the people in Ellis County enough notice that, hey, this is coming in, because those storms were moving at a clip of 50 to 60 miles per hour. That is sprinting for a storm. And, normally it takes a couple hours for them to get through the county. And I think we were done in like an hour. But so I want to make sure that people are informed, but also I know that there are people in Venus and Alvarado that are watching me because they're in proximity to Ellis County.
Right.
So, it's Ellis County weather, but, some folks in other parts of the area are getting some benefit as well from that.
Very good. So there's a lot that I guess could be said for Kevin, there is a lot to be said about what Kevin has done on his own part-time. Ellis County Weather, again, is the predominant, has the market share of weather coverage for Ellis County, and the following is growing every day and is already pretty big. So what does it mean for Kevin and Ellis County Weather to come partner with the Sun? Kevin is an employee of the Sun, but the brand is his. The brand is going to be protected. We have no interest in tinkering with that other than to allow Kevin the creative license to grow it and be innovative and that sort of thing. So the idea that we now have in our fold, so to speak, the weather, we want to do some good things and fun things with that. There's a lot out there that can be done with the weather. Don't want to make any promises here because I get in trouble when I do that. But we do a lot of podcasting now. Kevin already does. You do your Thursday night from a football place usually.
Right.
Tell the folks about what you do there. Some have seen you, some have not. But
yeah, absolutely. Well, there's two segments that I have that kind of give just an outlook. There's a weekday outlook that comes out Sunday afternoons, and then Thursday afternoons, of course, is the weekend outlook you're referring to. And I've been going to different football stadiums to kind of highlight the Friday Night Lights events that are coming up because people want to know what they need to take to the stadium with them. And coaches want to know which way the wind's blowing and how strong it's blowing. They want to know what decision they need to make at coin flip to get the best advantage or whatever goes into that decision. And so, it was an opportunity for me to kind of tap into another area of interest. And you talk about how weather is just, when we get 4 seasons in a week, people want to know what's going on. So those segments allow me to kind of give people on Sundays a look at the work week to kind of get an idea, okay, this is what I need to do to get ready for the week, or on the weekend. There are always events going on in Ellis County, especially in the fall and the spring. So it gives people an opportunity to kind of plan those things out as well. You wouldn't believe how many messages I get of, I have a birthday party this weekend. We've got homecoming. We've got, finals in terms of whatever competitions. So it's an opportunity for me to put in a video format that kind of outlook and just give people an idea. And, I try to do that on a daily basis as well. But I definitely am committed to keeping people informed because things change so very quickly. When I film one of those segments, I'm like a SWAT team. I get in there, I film it, and I'm out. I've had people that tell me, well, what time are you going to go film? And I have no idea, but, blink and you'll miss it because I go in, I film it, and I'm out. I go home and immediately edit that, post that, because as quickly as weather changes, if I don't do that, I'm going to be wrong. So, not that Texas weather isn't challenging enough by itself, but those kinds of segments give me the opportunity to keep people informed in a way that is going to communicate to them easier. You don't have to sit there and read a long, novel of a forecast.
Right. Good. So those things will continue. Again, Kevin and his team here at the Sun will pursue any innovative, creative way of sharing the news, sharing the weather with you as they see fit. And there's no limit to what we want to do and can do, really, when it comes to the weather. In Wednesday's Sun, for the first time in our 3-year existence, we have a weather, an anchored weather map, if you will. It's a 7-day forecast and a picture of the whole United States and kind of a sense of what's coming. But even for those of you that rely strictly on the print side of things, you will have in every Wednesday a 7-day forecast of the weather for Ellis County. But there's podcasting opportunities, there's more frequent opportunities to be live and in the field, if you will. There may be more colorful, creative, innovative ways of being able to have you see the weather on your screens or whatever device you're using, all sorts of things that can be done. And Kevin is the man to do it. I've worked at many newspapers, and all of them had a weather presence, but none of them had a weather, in this case, weather director. Right. And we're very excited about that. So I do want to go back and ask you, where did your passion for the weather, where did that originate?
I think about that all the time, and I don't remember a time when I wasn't interested in it. It was something that just came naturally. And my sort of journey into this is actually pretty similar to what a lot of storm chasers and other meteorologists and different people in the weather profession have done, or gone through rather. And what will happen is you learn about weather, you learn how destructive and unpredictable and out of control it can be. And as a young child, I didn't really have the mental or emotional maturity to really handle that. So that manifested as fear. And I was very, 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 very afraid of weather. And Texas is an easy place to be afraid of weather because no matter what season it is, one way or the other, it's probably trying to hurt you. I mean, we had a record winter storm. We have tornadoes every season. We have hurricanes that come up. It's just, this place is just wild. Yeah. So for me, I knew enough to know that this is serious stuff, but I didn't have the, like I said, the emotional and mental maturity to really handle that. So the way I overcame that was to learn less about how destructive it is and how profound it is, to then go over to, well, how do we prepare for this stuff? How do I know what to look for? How do I know how to handle this situation to where I feel assurance rather than fear? And so I began to learn more about the patterns of behavior of these storms, what to watch for and how to better understand them, how innovation is moving forward and trying to keep people safe, why those things keep people safe. And not only did that manifest now into, I'm able to go live to talk to thousands of people about what the storm is going to do and keep them informed. Right. But it allows me to reassure my own family, reassure my own son, and then also there are a lot of people that follow the page that have that weather anxiety and are much older than I am, because that's just something that people deal with. It's something that people have, and there's no shame in that. There's no problem there. It's we all have our anxieties, and Texas is a decent place to have weather anxiety. Like I said, it's just almost constant insanity. Sometimes it's nice insanity, but very seldom does that ever really make sense. Right. So that kind of is the track that I took, and it's become part of my motivation to keep doing this. To see people tell me that their families, their kids, and even the adults who struggle with that anxiety, to be able to reassure them and keep them safe. And I've had a lot of videos sent to me from bathrooms and closets and storm shelters and things of kids watching me, and they're calm. Yeah. And they feel better because someone is able to explain step by step what's going on. Yeah, even in the short time that you've been with us, what is it, almost on Friday when you see this, Kevin will be with us 2 weeks. A number of people have said to me, want to thank you through me for calming their fears, informing them about the weather, and that's important for sure. And again, it's about Ellis County weather. It's not having to look at the Metroplex's weather and wait for something about Waxahachie or Midlothian or Red Oak or something to come up. They're covering a vast area. You don't storm chase, right? I don't. When I started this, I kind of prepared for that. But people want me in the studio. They want me showing the radar. They want me to show what's happening where and when. And radar is the best way for me to do that. I'm hoping in the future to be able to kind of have a hybrid experience because James Spann, who you're familiar with out of Alabama, Birmingham, has talked a lot about the importance of sociology in terms of how we broadcast weather coverage. And you can show radar and you can show the kind of the scientific picture of where a tornado might be. But when you actually show a tornado on camera, when you're looking at it and you have a visual to show people and they can see little landmarks in that picture, that is a very different motivation for people to take shelter and to take it seriously. Right. And so, that's why when people send in pictures of a tornado or something, and I'm not encouraging you to take pictures, you should be getting in a shelter, which is what I, hammer into your heads, but people are going to, take pictures and video and that kind of thing. But I always do appreciate when I get those things because that allows me to show people, number one, this is what it looks like, this is what to watch for. but two, this is real. This is happening.
So what would you say to morons like me who, when I see you, like Sunday night, I'm watching you,
Sure.
and I love your shirts that have the play on the weather words. I was trying to explain that to somebody the other day, and all I know about the weather is either what you tell me or that I go outside.
Sure.
So when I see those words, I do remember vaguely being taught some of those words in some class that I was forced to take along the way. Mm-hmm. But I like those shirts. We should get
Right.
more of them.
I have a list. I've
yeah.
got a wish list already made.
All right, cool. Because they're shirts that have a play on the weather.
Yeah.
But what do you say to people like me who, when it could be severe weather, I still have this tendency to want to open the door and look outside. I've become, again, at 60 years old, I probably should be embarrassed to say this, but what the heck? I've discovered TikTok, and of all the social medias out there, TikTok's the only one I have any interest in because, one, TikTok is brief, and it has a lot of music from my era on it.
Yeah.
But it also sometimes will have morons like me, and it'll show. The other day I saw a guy at tornado. He could see outside his back door. He opened the door. He's on his deck, and he's looking a certain direction, and he can see the tornado.
Yeah.
And because somebody's behind him, probably his best friend, filming it, we can see the tornado through TikTok. And
Right.
he's not until that tornado gets real close to that house you can see the iPhone or whatever falling around, but he's heading to the basement or something.
Right.
I'm that guy. So
Yeah.
what do you say to people who have that lack of sense?
Don't.
Yeah.
That's about all I can really put there. I will say that those images, that footage, yes, it does help me on those broadcasts because I can show you what's happening, what's actually happening, as opposed to showing you on radar. But it's not worth that.
Yeah.
And I know that in the age of social media, everybody wants to be the ones with a cool picture, with a cool video. Everybody wants their picture on Channel 8 or whatever. Whoever might post it up there, everybody wants to be that, to see their name and that kind of
Right.
thing. But these tornadoes are incredibly destructive. They can. I mean, to put it bluntly, they can take a life with little effort.
Yeah.
And so, just try not to do that. There are professionals out there. There are trained spotters who kind of know the things to do to keep themselves safe while observing. And then there's people like I forget the name, Reed Timmer, who literally shoots rockets into tornadoes, and just he calls himself the extreme storm chaser for a reason. But even those guys, as crazy as they are, they kind of know those rules of how to do this safely. So leave it to those folks. And if you're at a safe distance and you know for absolutely certain that you're not in the damage path, I guess. But if I tell you, it's like the shirt I had the other day, said, "Respect the polygon," is one of James Spann's sayings that when you're in that path and I tell you to get into your safe spot, please do what I say, and don't be a hero. Don't try to get the latest picture or get the coolest picture or anything, because as you'll find out as it gets closer, that is a real force of nature that is much bigger than you.
Yeah, I was mentioning to Kevin the other day, having lived in Alabama for a good part of my life. Most recently, the last place I lived was in Tuscaloosa, which is the reason for my passion for the University of Alabama football team. Even when we take it on the chin like we did this past Saturday night. One of the best books I've ever read is written by a guy named Carson Tinker, who was the long snapper for the University of Alabama. The name of the book is A Season to Remember. It's a great Christmas gift. It's an easy read, but A Season to Remember by Carson Tinker is his story about when a E5, I think, hit Tuscaloosa in 2012, and he went into the basement of the place in which he lived, and he had his girlfriend with him and other people with him, went into the basement. Holding on to his girlfriend is that E5, which is, I guess, one of the most powerful.
Yeah.
And sadly, the force of that tornado sucked the people out of that basement, including his girlfriend, who tragically died and was found half a mile away. So here's a 300-pound guy holding on to his girlfriend in the basement of a home, taking every precaution they could as if E5 went over.
Yeah.
And it wasn't enough. So again, a rare occurrence.
Yeah,
E5s.
absolutely.
But it's still, for people like me, I respecting Mother Nature is, you wouldn't think I'd have to think twice about that. But I guess the inquisitive nature of people about the weather and seeing a tornado or being involved in hurricanes is just too strong for some people like me to be wise. Yeah. It's crazy. So that said, let's talk about, in the last few minutes that we have, let's talk about weather coming in the next few days or the next, maybe the next 3 or 4 months. But what's happening now in Texas?
So by the time this is posted, we will have gone through a couple of days of rain. We've got a system moving in from the west along with I think it's still, at the time of filming, I think Pamela is still a hurricane over in the Pacific, moving up through Mexico, up into Texas, and that'll bring a wealth of moisture into our area. So we'll have a couple of rainy days, but by the time this is posted, it's going to be a sunny day on Friday, and highs in the 70s and lows in the 40s.
Nice.
If you can believe that. Yeah. Most people call it sweater weather. I call it hoodie weather. I love a good hoodie. Yeah. So, I'm really excited about that. Fall is my favorite season. So once we actually get to fall, it's really nice. And then, and that's forecast at least, I think, through Tuesday. I think we might have some rain coming in mid to late next week, but we'll kind of see what that does. And a lot of people are talking about what is the long-term forecast? What does winter look like? Of course, we have a little bit of anxiety when it comes to winter now that we had the winter apocalypse that we had last season. And I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong for having that. I thought today, maybe I should pick up some extra toilet paper. I don't know. So you start trying to get ready for that in case that happens again. But of course, those occurrences are incredibly rare. But what's interesting is that people are already trying to speculate on, well, this will happen, that'll happen. And I tell people I try not to forecast longer than about 7 days, because even that 7-day forecast will change 10 times before we actually get to that day. Right. But the overall outlook that I just checked this morning from the National Weather Service is that we're looking at above normal temperatures for January, February. That's usually when we get our coldest months. And then precipitation is expected to be about normal. Okay. So what that means on this end of things to people is, it's going to be warm, we won't get any snow, and it'll just be, just another couple of months without really anything interesting happening. But as I was telling you before, what can make the difference is if you get one good snowstorm or one good ice storm like we had before, that is all you're going to remember. And so people are trying to speculate, trying to figure out what this winter is going to look like. And kind of the tricky part about it is that if you do have a warmer climate during those winter months, sometimes that means that you're going to get more moisture in, and we usually go from rain to sleet. It's like we go from extreme, warm and wet to kind of a dry sleet, cold situation because of the way that the dry air out of New Mexico and Arizona comes in, and that'll kind of rob us of that perfect mixture it takes to make snow. So, ironically enough, if we have a warmer than usual winter, that could mean more opportunities for actual snow. On the back end of it, in March and April, when we're talking about it, if we get one good snowstorm, everybody's going to remember that snowstorm. So, looking at these long-term forecasts and those kind of things really doesn't give us much of a good idea of what's going to happen. It doesn't mean that we should prepare any less for things. I think that winter storm taught us that we do need to be prepared, but just remember, there's storms in the spring that can wipe out power for an extended amount of time as well. Right. So being prepared is never a bad idea. We don't have to wait for a major record-breaking winter storm to do that. Trust me, I'm going to keep you folks informed of when crazy winter things are going to happen. And of course, we're hanging on the S words, those snow and sleet and everything, in the winter, because we want a good snow. And it's so hard to make that happen. Everything kind of has to happen perfectly. But relax about winter. and don't put a lot of stock in some of the things you talked about. TikTok, and I saw a TikTok video last night that somebody made where they were saying that a polar vortex was coming this year. It's not that simple, right? The polar vortex is a phenomenon that if you're going to try to forecast it, that takes a lot of explaining, a lot of figuring out, okay, this is what that means, but it really means this. And so don't let the social media craze, get too much attention. We'll have a better idea of winter once we kind of get there. But, if you had a hard time during that winter storm, being prepared is not going to hurt you. It's going to be a good thing. So for now, just enjoy those fall temperatures because it's going to be sunny and cool and nice.
Yeah.
And
thank goodness for fall. Well, that's it for this Sunspot. We will have Kevin back from time to time, and it may be that as things develop, Kevin will have his own podcast. I certainly am happy to have that happen and believe that everyone would benefit from it. Again, Ellis County Weather is the brand for all things related to weather in this area, and you'll be able to now find Ellis County Weather through the Sun, through Down Home, through Ellis County Weather. We'll be at the Bob Phillips, all of us be at the Bob Phillips Festival in a couple of weeks. Kevin is not hard to find. He has 2 email addresses that we'll make sure you are aware of by looking at the Sun or any of our brands. And I don't want to send thousands of people to you, but in case you have a question about the weather, Kevin is the man for sure. All that said, this was the segment every other week that David Hill, current council member and former mayor, is with me. David hasn't been feeling very well, so he is recovering right now, and we'll be back on our normal schedule 2 weeks from today. And then we'll be back next week with another guest. So, Kevin, thank you for being here.
Sure.
Happy to have you on the team, and look forward to what you'll accomplish. Again, if you need anything about the weather, this is the place to come. Ellis County Weather, the Sun, and Down Home. So with that, I'll shut up and tell you that I hope you have a great weekend. This is Scott Brooks and Kevin Crouch signing off on Sunspot. Thank you. Bye-bye.